You ready? Is it rolling? I'm Lazaro Caesar, aka Big Guapo. I ain't throwing money, I'm showing money, boy. You hear me? Ball game.
Hi, I'm Katie. I don't have a street name to...
How are you? I'm Holden. I live in Seoul Hall. I'm a senior. Let's talk.
Hi, my name's Katie. My name's Katie too.
My name is Quincy Titchener.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Movitz. I am a four-year senior.
Hi, I'm Harry Tibbetts, a four-year senior in Seoul Hall.
I'm a four-year senior in Point Hall from Washington, D.C.
Me too. Except not the Washington, D.C. part. I'm from Connecticut, Fairfield, Connecticut. I'm from New York City.
I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. I was born in Miami, Florida.
I am from St. Louis, Missouri, but I'm a day student now. And I live in Exeter.
I am from Glencoe, Illinois, previously from Los Angeles, California, and I'm in Main Street.
I've been from California, Arizona, Ohio, and like 3 different places in New Hampshire, but definitely in New England, born and raised. So evening prayer, or EP as we like to call it.
Actually, I think it's blasphemous.
Oh yeah, we made friends with townies canoeing in the river.
And they were like, we heard a rumor that you guys go to church for dates.
Yeah.
Really?
I guess that's true.
EP is a waste of 30 minutes.
You know, EP's a big thing when you're a youngin'. So, you know, maybe you've been set up, maybe you've asked someone.
It's actually a way for people to date secretly. At least for me, when I was an underclassman, I took EP really seriously. Like, I would be like, okay, well, this kid in my English class, like, he's really cute. Should I ask him to EP? Oh my God, I need to look cute all day so I can go to EP.
Rev gives these talks, and it's almost always out of Frederick Buechner or
Frederick Beaker.
Frederick Buechner, that's his favorite one.
I went through a phase where I really hated EP. I thought it was awkward. I thought it was weird. I didn't like that when you performed, no one clapped for you. It made me feel weird. It takes up like your whole night. You got like half an hour, but really like the half hour before, you're like, oh my God. And the half hour after, you're like, oh my God.
I always really liked EP. It was like, it's very chill and you can hear people perform.
You sit down and, you know, like if you're gonna make out, you sit at the back. I've never done that though. It's a very day class night, don't do it.
Are you sure you've never done that?
Yes?
Sorry?
He said, are you sure you've never done that? I've never done that. That's rude. What?
You've done that?
I've never done that.
Yes, you have.
When?
After EP was over and everyone was filing out Katie's statement
Oh, that was
you
weird.
inside making out.
That was weird. That was weird, and I don't want to talk about that ever again. And I wish that hadn't happened, and it wasn't initiated by me, so it doesn't count.
and his voice is very deep, you know, calm and soothing kind of thing. And I mean, yeah, you get a date because that kind of environment just sort of like, it just feeds into it, you know, having someone next to you. And when he says, welcome to evening prayer, you sort of give you one of these, oh, you know, yeah.
You're putting your arm around your little date, you know what I mean? Yeah, well, I have a lot of homework tonight. Oh, me too! You know.
Welcome to evening prayer. And then you go like this.
And
Which is also, that was a big deal, like prep year, because it was like,
you could be like
did the guy
this,
touch,
or you could be like this around the
does he
chair.
touch the chair?
Or you could
Did he go like this? Like, does he go for the waist?
The waist was a big one.
That was a big one, because you gotta be close for that. You gotta be like way over here. Wait, I'm really sweating.
And I feel like it's really uncomfortable for the person putting their arm around someone else because you have to just sort of sit there the whole time with your arm around someone, and then you kind of... I went to the second EP of prep fall with Lazaro, and I fell asleep on him at EP. I'm pretty sure I have jeweled on his shoulder a little. It was just really bad. It was really embarrassing.
It's the worst 30 minutes I've ever spent in my life.
You'll leave, you know, maybe you sneak a little smooch in there, but really it's not a lot goes on. Shockingly little, you know, interchange between you and your date. Weird that you bring a date, of course. It's you know, bringing the ladies to church. It's not the first thing you think of, but I mean, it is what it is. It's an interesting tradition. Good way to get the ball rolling too. Yeah. Yeah, so one time my friend was on Tinder. we don't get a lot of interaction with people who live around school, but this guy he's really pretty savvy with the tech world and the online community, as it were. One Friday night, we left his dorm and just headed downtown, got in some girl's car, and just, the night progressed as it would. And it was weird, because, my buddy's right here, in the backseat of some chick's dad's, car. Then the cops show up, and then it's all bad from there. But stuff happens fast if you let it. You know what I mean? And if you're looking for it, you can find it. That's what I like to say. That's what I like to think, especially when I'm getting none. But it is what it is. It's a high pressure environment, and people are gonna express themselves if you let them.
Oh my gosh, this is the craziest story. I was taking a Chinese test, and I was in Fontaine's class, who's like very relaxed. One time Fontaine tried to dress code me, and she was like, "Katie, stand up." And I stood up, and she said, "That's really short." And I said, "No, Miss Fontaine, it's totally fine." And then I just sat back down. But this time, we were taking a test, and Senor Flores, who's neighbors with Miss Fontaine, comes into Miss Fontaine's class, just like barges in, and am I allowed to say this? Whatever. And she has Camden Miles with her, who is one of Miss Fontaine's advisees. And she starts talking very loudly to Miss Fontaine, saying, like, "This is your advisee." In the middle of our test. "This is your advisee, and I can't believe how she came to class. This is disrespectful. Like, you can't let her dress this way." Miss Fontaine's like the cutest woman in the whole world, and she's like so frazzled. And then she starts looking around the table, and she sees other girls in my class who are also apparently dressing inappropriately. And she tells all of us to stand up in the middle of our test. And she says, "This is a disgrace to the academy, a disgrace to your teacher, and a disgrace to yourselves. I'm disappointed in all of you. You all need to return to your dormitories and change immediately." And poor Miss Fontaine is trying to back up Senor Flores because she feels like she should, but she's actually really uncomfortable. And she's like, "But we have a test. Please finish your listening portion before you leave to go to your dorm." And we're all sitting there like, oh my God, luckily I was wearing pants that day. So it's all fine.
But I was just walking down the path, and I was wearing this dress. It's like a wrap sweater dress, and it's kind of short. It's probably too short for class. And Senora Flores comes up to me, and she's like, "What are you wearing?" So I look at her and I say, "I'm wearing a sweater dress." And she's like, "Okay." And then we both part ways, and that was the end of the story.
One time I was anti-dress coded. Senora Flores complimented what I was wearing. Can we just take a moment? She complimented a dress that actually showed my skin. Like, it wasn't a potato sack to the floor. She complimented a dress that showed that I have a body. So good job, lower year Katie, for picking out a dress that Senora Flores approved of. Lower spring, Miss Moore pulled me aside and gave me a 30-minute lecture on why I should respect myself and not wear it. Okay, you know what? I have big boobs, all right? I'm just gonna put that out there. And so a lot of shirts that I wear are revealing because there's nowhere for these girls to go. So Miss Moore sat me down and was like, "You're so smart and beautiful and intelligent. Why do you dress this way?" So, I love and respect Miss Moore a lot, but that was pretty funny. And to be fair, my boobs are probably up to my chin in this little camisole. But yeah, those are my dress code experiences.
So there was first of all, Big Guapo, aka me, has the best room in Phillips Exeter Academy. Webster Hall, room 213. It's the trap house, Big Guapo's kingdom. It was a Friday night, and I got V's with 10 people, and we were all just in there hanging out, and we started playing Drake, 0 to 100. We got hype. We got real hype. And the beat dropped, and we 0 to 100, real quick. And then right before we said the N-word, Mr. McConnell walked in, and I said the N-word. But it looked like I was screaming it to him, but I was screaming it to the mirror, which is attached to the door. And as he was walking in, I was looking at him when I said the N-word. And he said, "You guys quiet down. My kids are sleeping, and if they wake up for your rowdiness, you have to put them to bed, Lazaro." Mind you, there's still 10 people in my room. And I felt like for a second he was my father. And I just got grounded in front of all my friends.
Oh, let's see. Geez, me and the Deans, we go way back, man. And it should be noted that Dean Cosgrove, he's a nice guy. I mean, there's mixed opinions, but I like him. He's a good guy. I was getting ASAP'd, and I sort of knew it too, and I was like I had been tipped off, I guess, and I was walking around, but I was having a really good day anyway. Cos was walking from the other end of the assembly hall, and we sort of made eye contact, and I was sitting there, and I was like, I knew that he knew that I was gonna get ASAP'd, but he didn't know that I knew that he was gonna ASAP me. So it was this really funny, it was like the only time I've ever had the leg up. I was sort of just walking tall, and he was sort of like a little awkward about it, and I felt like there was this whole power dynamic shift, even though I was gonna get fucked that afternoon, but that was a good time. I would say that was probably my favorite. And I don't know how awkward it was, but probably for him.
I remember we're in D Hall, people are like, yeah, I'm going to the AHS dance. You're not going to the AHS dance?
I remember we just kept saying, we're going to the AHS.
Oh,
We're definitely going to the AHS dance. And people didn't believe us, which I think made us definitely more sure that we were going to the AHS dance.
You know what they said? They said, you guys won't get in. They said that. The gumption to say that we wouldn't get in, so
we had to prove them wrong.
yeah, and I rather douchily skirted my way out of a family dinner with the Hogermans. I was like, I need to go to this dance, guys. Out halfway through the meal, but I'm out. I need to go to this. All right. Hopped on bikes.
Yeah.
And we rode.
We rode. It was either 4 or 7 miles.
Just something like that, yeah.
So the 3 of us.
Evan Thomas.
Third. Just riding our way in the dark.
In the dark.
All the way over.
Crowded road. Not, it was a little sketch, but it was okay.
Side of the highway. Side of the highway. Right on the side of the highway.
Yeah. Anyway, we got there.
Mm-hmm.
We rode it. We came in around back too, so we didn't know what the front was.
Mm-hmm.
Never taken SATs before. We rolled
Parked our bikes right in the back, in a dark corner, and we didn't know which side was the front, so we just started trying all the doors.
We could see it going on.
Yeah.
We were like, ooh, I want to get in there.
So we're just testing all the doors and testing them and pulling on them and texting people who were inside, and they're like, we can't let you in, we can't open the doors. And I remember we got to the back of the dance, and it was going on, and we leaned in like a little screened window.
It was a window.
And I was like, hey man, could you let us in? And he was like, I would, but principal was something is right there.
That's right. The dude was kind of like, I don't know, it was a bit of a nerve. We were just like, come on, man, help us out now.
And he didn't. So we were like, oh, okay, all right, well, we'll figure this out. So then we had someone on the inside pickpocket tickets for us.
Yeah.
Which I think still have hanging on my wall in my room.
Yes, you do have. I lost mine under lower here.
And she came out, gave us tickets, and just said, yeah, the science teacher is Mr. Johnson, and the English teacher is, like Frank.
Yeah, exactly.
And she was like, just say that. Just if they ask you, say that. And we were like, okay, all right, we can do this. Well, me and Evan Thomas said, all right, yeah, we can do this.
I was like, we can't do this.
Yeah.
We're gonna get caught. No.
So we're standing.
I've got a future.
We're standing in line to get into EHS. And we're all like, yeah, all right, just hand in the tickets, say, oh, hey, Mr. Johnson, right? And then they'll let us in, and we'll have a great time. And Holden bails.
Yeah, it was me.
Holden,
it was me.
All of a sudden decided to take a stand against lies.
It was a tough time. I had to take a stance on the truth, Do I regret it? A little bit. Yes, it would have been a more streamlined night. However, we started turning around because it was kind of an all-around deal, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Sorry, but and there are the two teachers like smoking cigarettes out in the parking lot. Like, I don't know what they're doing in the parking lot. I'm pretty sure they're just like policing cars for just like, vagrant teens looking to like have sex in Priuses. I don't know. But anyway, so they're like, hey, where you guys going? And
So I called out to them as we're walking around the back of EHS, like, oh yeah, we forgot our IDs, so they won't let us in. It's no big deal. We'll just go home. And Holden,
I yell out to him, oh yeah, and we don't go here.
So then we have to walk away as these two teachers shout like, you PA kids, you get out of here, get the hell out of here. So we make it around to the back of the school, and we're getting our bikes, and a police car pulls up, like a police car.
Like rolls, like just sirens were going off, I think. Briefly, the guy hops out, yada yada. He's like, hey, what are you guys doing here? And then another one shows up, principal of Exeter High School shows up. And he's just like, what the frick do you academy kids think you're doing here? Oh my God. He's like yelling, he is so upset.
You kids you coming into our dances, you bring your drugs and your sex, and you're always ruining our dances and creating dissidence between the locals, and screaming at us with much profanity.
Yeah, it was hardcore.
It was hardcore.
Things were going well.
He had a shaved head,
Yeah.
and a suit that didn't fit him. It was one of the most intimidating people I've ever encountered in my life.
The cops were like, he was like the bad cop. The cops were like, whoa, I think things will be okay.
Yeah.
Like, I think you'll be all right. And he was like, oh no, they're going in. They're taking them downtown.
So
Check them for the drugs.
we didn't have drugs on us.
We didn't have drugs, I guess.
So then they, the cops were like, all right, it's gonna be fine. We'll let them go. Get back on your bikes.
Campus safety rules.
Yeah. So then campus safety is on apparently the same radio frequency as the cops, apparently. So they're like, oh yeah, campus safety's coming. And we're like, well, we're in the radius, like we haven't broken any rules. Like we're
counting them off.
Yeah.
And e-books at the ready.
And he rolls up, gets out of his car, was like, get in the car. And then the policeman was like, hey man, like they didn't break any rules, like it's all good over here.
They're good guys.
Yeah, they're good guys. Oh, he had us. He had our backs.
That was awesome.
And then the camp safety guy, I just remember, was like, well, we better not be in trouble here, but they are back at PEA.
They're gonna need to see the deans. We were like, deans? Multiple deans? Like, what?
It was a very quiet car ride back.
Yes, it was.
Remember, Evan Thomas took shotgun.
He
didn't speak the whole time, and me and Holden just sat in the back seat holding hands.
It was mostly you talking. I remember I was totally silent. We were holding hands. Got back, had a sit-down meeting with the deans. Dean Gary, it was just her. It was just the one of them. She was just doing her duty.
And we were trying to recount the story, leaving out the parts where we were trying to break into the Exeter dance. So I just remember each one of us was telling little tidbits of the story, like, and then we got on the bikes, yes, and then we went to the dance and thought it would be open, yes, and eventually Dean Gary just stopped writing things down and just sort of gave us sort of like dumbfounded looks, and then at the end of our story just went, all right, you didn't break any rules, like just don't ride your bikes on the highway at night. And then
you went to go get the bikes.
Campus safety called me and said, you left your bikes at EHS.
Dater's bike, remember?
Dater's bike too. And so then I had to get in a car with campus safety. And one-on-one, just me and him, mano y mano. And we rode all the way to EHS, put the bikes in the back, rode all the way back, and by the end we were like total bros, and I was talking to him, and he told me some story where at the end of the year, the faculty and the deans have a party, and it gets pretty rowdy, and he just said, I'm not gonna name names, but I had to go down to the boathouse with a megaphone and stand on the dock and just shout out, "Students, faculty, please get out of the Exeter River and put your clothes back on. Over." And he didn't name names, but
You know who you are.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was driving to school 3 days ago, like a week ago, and who do I see but biking alongside me is Quincy and Andrew. And I roll down my window and I'm stopped at the stoplight. I look out. I'm like, "What are you guys doing?" And they turn to me and they're like, "Oh, we just came back from the beach. We went at dawn. We pulled an all-nighter and we went out to the beach." And I'm like, "What? Like sleep? Is that a thing? Not a thing. Not a thing."
So I took drum lessons for the first 3 years of my time at Exeter, and last year when I was writing my 333, I wrote it in 2 all-nighters. I wrote an all-nighter for the draft and an all-nighter for the final, and it was about an hour or 2 before the final was due, and I still wasn't done. I had live tweeted the whole evening, and it was just really bad. I was freaking out, like my stomach was caving in on itself from all this 5-hour energy I had taken. And my drum teacher is a total germaphobe. Like I can't even sneeze near him without him freaking out. So basically, like I went to my drum lesson and I was like, "Oh, Mr. Harris, like I'm really I think I have a cough or a cold or something, like I think I'm just really sick." And he's like, "Oh, Katie, like you don't sound too great. Maybe you should just get out." And I'm like, "Are you sure, Mr. Harris? Because I would hate to end our year on the wrong note." And he's like, "Yeah, I think you should just go to the health center. You should take care of that." And I'm like, "All right, thanks. I think I'm just gonna go to the health center." And I felt really awful about it. I'm sorry, Mr. Harris, that I lied to you.
There was this one time my lower year where oh my God, I almost got a DC case again because I dicked my morning 2 classes. I didn't go to the health center. I stayed in my room and decided, just take that L and go to sleep and get the rest that I needed. Then I got 2 dickies that put me on restrictions because I already had 2, and then the 2 that I got for that would put me on restrictions. And I went to the dean's office. I don't know why my stupid ass did this, but I went to the dean's office to get them cleared and to say that I called the campus safety to take me to the health center, but they never came to pick me up, which is why I was just sitting there waiting in my room. And when they first heard my story, they believed, they were like, "Oh, that's unfortunate. I'm sorry, we're gonna clear your dickies right away." And I was like, "Great, that's awesome." Boom. 2 days later, I get called in by Dean Hamilton. She calls me in her office and says, "So I called campus safety yesterday, and they have no records of you calling them that morning." And I stood there like froze, like, you called them? And again, my dumbass could have confessed right then and there and just took the restriction, took the dickies. But for some reason, I was so stupid and I said, "The campus safety officer must have forgotten to write my name down." And so she ran with that and said, "Okay, we'll start investigating." It became like this 2-week investigation. And then eventually I just pulled Miss Hamilton aside. I said, "Look, please, I feel terrible. I'll do 4 weeks of restrictions. I lied, but please don't give me a discipline case. But I just overslept and I was so nervous." And she looked out for me because she saw how nervous I was, and she respected that I was being honest with her. And so I ended up doing 4 weeks of restrictions.
Soul's been a good time for the last 4 years. Jesus. I guess, I don't know. There's this, I don't pull a ton of all-nighters, and certainly not for work, but you had to know me to know why. But I would say that And there's been a couple of crazy nights, but the night that was sort of like the longest night, and it was just so like, there was just so much emotion filling, was there's this night that John Palmer got kicked out, and it was like, you know, it was supposed to be this really like sad, like solemn, you know, procession thing, but he was making it totally not about that. So he was just going around and we were chilling, and we ended up making this huge banner that said, "Then who deserves to stay?" And it was like a huge "fuck you," you know, and like we hung it up, and of course it got taken down, and there's a bunch of people, but like throughout the course of the night, everyone was just telling these stories, and it was like every night at the end of the school year, we all get together before we streak and bowl and stuff. And we just go through stories, you know what I mean? Like I know Wentworth has this, you know, whole traditional thing where they give a reflection, but it's not like that, you know, it's just like whoever wants to just talks, and we all chill in this room and everyone's just like dying, because of course it's 90 degrees in June. But this night it was just something special, because everybody knew him, and he was just so tranquil about the whole thing, and it just made you feel more confident about everything. And it was like this really long, you know, you hung out with everybody. There was like no difference between seniors and preps. And I don't know, that was probably the chillest night I've ever had, I would say. Kind of weird circumstances.
There have been times where certain things, certain facets have been going incredibly well. Things have been really great. You know what I mean? But that's only if I like, you know, turn the lens to this one specific thing, because otherwise, you know, like I've had these certain terms where I've just, you know, run like an animal, just run, you know, like crazy. But I've also got just like terrible grades. And my social life will be in shambles, and yada yada. Things will be garbage, you know what I mean? Or like these other terms, I'll just run like crap, and everything else will come together pretty well. So, I mean, I for me, it was largely inconquerable. You know, I hate that personally. That is something I don't really like. You know, because I feel like it can be and it should be conquered. Like I feel like there are people that do conquer, but maybe not. Maybe no one does. Maybe no one thinks they do, and everyone else thinks like, oh, that guy does it, that guy does it. But personally, I just never felt totally on top of everything. But it's been so fun to have these little victories. You know, you kind of ride up the ladder. It made it. You know, it was really awesome to have all these things come together. But I felt like they never came together at the same time. It was always something was going right and something was going wrong, which might be okay. It's probably all right. Probably an all right way to live your life, I guess. But being Mr. You know, fake it till you make it, grind till you die type of dude, I just, didn't love it, you know. But go Big Red.
Back then, I didn't think this was abnormal, but now I look back on that and I see it as pretty unhealthy. But I remember upper year driving home a lot, and as I would drive home, I'd cross this one intersection, cross the stoplight, and after I got past that stoplight, it was just a straight shot home, and I didn't need to focus on the road. And from the stoplight until home, I would just scream, and just at the top of my lungs in my car where no one could hear me. I never would cry, just scream, just from the stress and yeah.
I don't know, I think like my ego got knocked down 18 million pegs when I got here. And to a certain extent, I think that was good. I think I was able to humble myself. My head went from this size to like this size. But I do think a part of me sort of misses that sort of, you know, that spark that comes with arrogance, that comes with invincibility. It's hard to believe that I was even more obnoxious before I came here, but I was. And I think that's something that I sort of feel like Exeter took away from me. They really did sort of, because there's shit that I let fly here that I would not let fly 4 years ago. So I don't know. I think Exeter sort of toned me down a little bit.
I felt the need to leave this institution because my mother was struggling financially at home. She just lost her apartment, and I felt like if I went home, I'd be able to help her around the house and pay some bills. And no one let me leave this institution. Everyone wanted me to stay here, and so I kind of felt the need to kick myself out and coincidentally there was a paper due the following day, so I found an outlet. I regret plagiarizing. Well, I did realize during the discipline case that I wanted to stay because going home and, you know, making that part-time money would only help in the short term, and, you know, graduating from here would help out in the long run. And so I realized that, and it took some people to bash that in my head in order for me to really understand that. I also understood how important it is to talk to people and know that you're not alone in this situation and that you have people in your corner that care about you.
It's really exciting when you get into Exeter and you feel like, you know, you must be the man for getting in here. But then you still have to get through Exeter, which is really a much bigger beast in itself.
I don't know, I feel like Exeter for me is kind of like a series of positive feedback loops. Like if I'm doing well academically and I feel really comfortable in all my classes, then I feel happier, and then I feel like my social life is happier, and I can kind of, you know, have more fun because I feel more comfortable or solidified in class, and then that kind of bleeds into, I don't know, I always use this term contaminate. I let a lot of things like contaminate every other thing, but it also applies for, you know, good experiences too. Like if things are going well, usually everything's going well, and if things aren't going so well for me, you know, everything's not going so well.
I was the editor-in-chief starting upper winter, so I had a lot of schoolwork, and I was there on Wednesdays working from about 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. and very intensively. And so I would come home, and Kate knows about this because she was my savior, but I would come back to the dorm and just like collapse. Like so a lot of nights I would start crying. Hopefully not a lot of nights, a couple nights I would start crying. I couldn't do my homework. I was just completely exhausted and I felt really defeated. But then, so in those moments I really felt like Exeter conquered me, but it was something that I really truly loved, and I learned how to make the work worth it and to make it a product of love, and like even if there were mistakes in the paper, even if I wasn't 100% happy with what we did, it was a product of love, and I was doing something that I really cared about, and that was what was important. And I learned how to do that pretty unabashedly here, even though it was really hard in the beginning.
Yeah, those were rough nights. But the good news is that she always brought home snacks.
I always brought snacks.
These giant bags of veggie sticks. Those were really good. That was a good deal.
That helped too.
Prep fall, when I was best friends with Andrew Turner. It was parents' weekend, and our parents were like talking, and they just went on and on in D Hall, and we were sitting across from each other, and we were like, let's go. And so we left, and we went to the Academy building, and we took off our shoes, so we were just in socks. We were the only ones in the Academy building, and we played a raucous game of hide and seek all over the Academy building with like tag and running and screaming all over. And it was so much fun. I want to do it again so badly.
I was really bad at physics. I was comedically bad at physics, to the point where I was worried I wasn't going to pass physics at the end of my lower year. I met with my teacher every single day. He let me correct my tests. He let me go to his house on the weekends to study. I made a fool out of myself at every single class by asking the dumbest questions. I still couldn't really tell you what I learned in physics, basically. But at the end of my lower year, I was almost passing the class, and my final was going to decide whether or not I actually passed. And so my physics teacher emailed me the night of the last night of school at like 11 o'clock and was like, you got a D in physics. And I rejoiced for this D because I worked so hard for it. And I don't know, everyone around me cheered like in my common room, because by then my plight had been known to everyone in the dorm. And I think I never felt more proud of myself for getting a terrible grade in a class. So.
Well, what can I say that isn't get said? Yeah, I think I got it. It's been said 100 million times, but I'm just gonna say it. All right, you know, you're coming in, you're new, a lot of things going on, but you just gotta go for it. You gotta have some pride. You gotta refuse to be normal. I would say just refuse to be average. Because I think here it's sucky if you feel like you're one of a million, and you gotta find some way to be like, you know what, I am a little bit different. you got to find some way to make yourself seem like you're special.
I would tell preps not to take themselves so seriously. If you're nice to people, people are nice to you. And yeah, the work's gonna be tough, and it's gonna be tough for you, and it's gonna be tough lower year, but especially when the weather's nice, don't let yourself just get caught, in your room doing some shit you don't need to do, and you don't need to do it. So I don't know, get out there and find somebody else, because before you know it, you're gonna be a senior, and then you're gonna wish that you knew people, or you had the opportunity to know people better than you do.
Be grateful. When you find yourself complaining about the Wi-Fi being slow, when you find yourself complaining about D Hall not having burgers, when you find yourself complaining about the workload, realize that you're fortunate enough to go to one of the best schools, not only in the country but in the world.
Go to meditation more often. I've missed only one this entire year, and I think every single time I go, I cry or I feel immense joy or strength from someone else's strength. You should go to meditation.
It goes by so quickly, and I know it's super cheesy and nostalgic to say, but I don't know, just enjoy your time here. Everyone's experience is unique, and that doesn't mean that Exeter isn't gonna suck. Because I think part of loving something is understanding its flaws as much as you understand what makes it great. So don't be afraid to admit that Exeter is not a great place all the time, but also, think about what makes it great, what doesn't, and how much you contribute to that. And your experience is your own to make, and I don't know, this is the people, the place, everything. It's incredibly generous, and there's a wealth of knowledge, of friends, of experiences that you just literally need to reach out and grab. So if you're a prep, or if you're a future prep, or if you're whatever here, I think it's never too late to do something fun or new or exciting or scary, and I don't know, just take advantage of everything around you.
This is actually a question. For the splendor of creation that leads us to perspire. For the dark and supple beauty with which our hearts admire. Sometimes something, sometimes long. For the splendor of creation, we give you this, oh God.
No, I feel like I don't know actually the words. When we were in Stratford, it actually played just randomly on the radio, and it was really weird. But isn't it oh shit, for the splendor of creation, and I don't even know how it goes. Could someone drop a beat?
What the fuck is that?
The opening song of Assembly.
Oh shit. I don't know that song.
For the splendor of creation,
There'll be music, there'll be life.
What song is that?
That's the intro song in the assembly.
No, what's the one that's do-do-do? Oh, that's from Frozen. It's from Frozen, when she's different song.
For the splendor of creation, to which our hearts aspire. For the dark and subtle beauty, through days that sorrow our plod. For this place and for these people, we give you thanks, O God.
Oh, for the splendor of creation, that something about being a nerd. Duh. Books and knowledge and stuff. Line, yeah. Da 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 da. Anyway, it's a jam. That's all I got on it.
Hi, I'm Callan. This is my 444 project, as you probably already know. So the Phillips Exeter Screen Tests are based on the New York Times Screen Tests, which were a series of interviews done in black and white. They were interviews with actors and actresses like Seth Rogen, Emma Watson, and I guess the idea of it was just to have someone basically talk about their experience for 5 to 6 minutes with all of the questions cut out during the editing process. Basically, my idea was to bring in these 8 or 9 guys and girls to have them explain their Exeter experience, and through that, I hope I conveyed that we all sort of had this shared experience. I know I've had an amazing time these last 4 years, despite the fact that I hung out with people not in our grade for a little bit, but I've come back. You guys are seriously the best, and I hope you enjoy this. I hope it brings you sorrow and happiness, and yeah, I'm really gonna miss this place, and I know I'm really gonna miss all of you. So, thanks for watching. Okay, can you describe an Exeter dance in 1 word?
It's like tight.
Sweaty, stinky.
Yikes.
Sweaty.
Sucks. I said it first.
Oh my god. Chubby.
No.
Y'all some weird bitches.
See, throw a ball.
You're good people.
Yeah,
You're gonna go and do some weird shit.
we were a weird class.
Harvard or bust, JP Morgan or nothing. Let's make some money.
Stay in touch.
Stay in touch.
Stay yourselves.
If you don't have a Labrador Retriever, your life's worthless. Should have gone to Andover.
Sit down, raise a family. Sitting down. Unless you don't want to raise a family. Be
Yeah.
you. Not Boston University, unless you're going to Boston University. Just be yourself.
If you didn't get into Harvard, though, you might as well not go to college. Just
To Harvard. Yeah. You might as well not go to Harvard if you didn't get into Harvard. It's been real.
It's been real.
We had a good time.
We did. We somehow did have a good time. Yeah.
It was a rough time.
But it was rough for everybody somehow. You know what I mean?
It was the good rough.
Some like it rough. Some.
Yeah.
Anyway, mean a lot to me. I'm sure you mean a lot to Quincy.
You do.
So,
You do.
ladies, it's not too late. I don't leave till tomorrow. All right. Anyway, thanks.
Thank you.